So I've been working on my texturing skills for a while now. This tutorial coming up for the tree bark will be up very soon. Systems like this I'm getting used to working with, right? And recently I even decided, you know what, let's move over to Substance Designer because Blender is starting to really annoy me in certain ways and I want to move over to something more industry standard. I've been learning this, it's been about like 2 weeks or so, I'm still in the free trial period for Adobe, and already this is more or less obsolete because while I love texture design, we can now have AI do it for us. With the new Dream Texture add-on, there will be a link down below in the description, it's fairly easy to install. We can go into the UV editing space here real quick, and in this Dream Textures tab, we can literally just, let's say I want to make tree bark. The tree bark texture I showed you before took me about an hour and a half to make all together. So let's see how quickly this goes. Let's just type in tree bark. We want it to be a seamless texture. Of course, it's going to be an actual texture and not procedural, but the speed here is unbelievable. We can increase the resolution if we want to. I don't really want to bother with that for right now. And in the advanced configuration, we have a random seed and the amount of steps the AI will take. 25 is plenty for pretty much any texture you want to make. And you just press OK and it starts to generate your texture. It's not even that intensive of a process. It doesn't take that long. We'll see this noise pattern here show up, and without too much trouble you can see, even though I'm recording and I don't have a top tier GPU, it's actually generating this relatively quickly. So we can just sit here and wait and we get this tree bark texture. If we decide, you know what, we don't actually like this, we can come up here and say use a different seed. So we can, without changing the prompt, get a new texture. We also can enable the seamless option so that it becomes a tileable texture, because as you can see, this isn't particularly tileable. And just like that, we have a new one. This one is fully tileable, but I still don't really like it. Maybe because I want a different color. So I can, in this subject, this prompt line, I can specify things a little bit more. So maybe I want a red tree bark. And I'm also, because I don't like the texture itself, I'm going to change it to a different seed as well. So again, we wait for a second, but not too long. We can iterate very, very quickly with this. And just like that, we have a tree bark with red on it. Sometimes though, the prompt does change things significantly. So while you don't have as much control over it as making your entire own textures, messing up like this isn't too bad, because number one, all the textures that you have made before still exist within your project, and number two, just trying out something new is much easier. So now if we go over into the shading tab, we can add in an image texture node, and we can use that for the base color here. With Ctrl T, if you have node wrangler enabled, we get mapping coordinates. And now we can just try out, let's use the red one, right? Let's use this red weird ass wood, because that's a thing that you couldn't get this from photo scanning, because this kind of wood just doesn't exist. Adding a value node for the scale, because obviously we're going to need the scale to be much lower. You might say, but the one big downside to doing this rather than making your own materials is that, okay, we have a texture now, but it's a very flat, very ugly texture. It looks like a PlayStation 2 game, for freak's sake. And you're right, but there's a easy fix for that as well. We have this handy little program here called Materialize, and what that does is it allows us to import a diffuse map, which is just the normal texture, which we can easily get out of here if we just go into our texture and then image, save as. Then here on diffuse map, we press the O button to open that texture. And here you can see all the maps that I generated for the test run before I started recording this video. But we can just import our 261 texture, the one we just made in Blender. And then we can start creating things like the height map. This will just be a normal black and white texture. We can fiddle around a little with the gain and the contrast, bias as well. And then we can set as height map. And then if we go show full material, we will see this material now fully distorted with the height map and actual geometry data. We can also create our normal map, in much the same way, so set normal map. We can do a metallic map, which we don't need for this because we don't have any metal going on here. A smoothness map, which is the roughness map in inverse. So some programs use smoothness, which is a scale from 0 being non-reflective and 1 being reflective. Most programs these days, like Blender, like Unreal, I think Unity as well, maybe Unity uses smoothness, I don't know. Most programs these days use roughness, which is 1 is non-reflective and 0 is very reflective. So if you're going to use this in a program, do make sure that you maybe invert this if you need to. We can easily set the smoothness as well. We have an edge map and a ambient occlusion map. We're not going to use those either for the time being, but they're fairly easily generated if you need them for whatever purposes. And then pressing the S button on every single one of these maps, we can just save these. Now we can simply just drag in our maps that we just generated one at a time. We line them up, and obviously we also need to connect them to the same coordinate mappings that we have for our initial texture. Then the smoothness and height maps, we change from color space sRGB to being non-color, because if you preview these, you can see they're black and white maps, so the texture node needs to know that it just is dealing with non-color data. The normals can just go into the normals here. The height map we will plug into a displacement node, which will then go into the material output. And the smoothness, as we discussed before, we'll have to go through an invert to make it into a roughness map, and then that can actually go into the roughness here. To have the displacement actually function, we need to change our render engine to cycles, set our feature set to being experimental. Then in our material settings, if we scroll down under the settings, we can change displacement from bump only to displacement and bump. And then in the modifiers tab, we can add a subdivision surface, set it to simple, and enable adaptive subdivision. And it looks all weird and distorted, so you're going to obviously want to set the scale for the distortion to be much lower. But once you've done that, and do be careful with having that go up too much, we have a perfectly usable and good looking wood material fully generated with just AI. Now, regarding the title of this video, does this mean texture artists are going to have no job? No, it does not. It means that a lot of small individual developers, animators, whatever, are going to be able to put in much more high quality assets into their games or animations or whatever. And for less important textures, bigger studios, bigger companies might be able to cut some corners. Yeah, but the, especially for Substance Designer, absolute benefits of having a easily changeable procedural material that you can then seamlessly use in something like Substance Painter as well, where you can generate masks and paint on those masks with different material. Obviously, you can do that with texture maps, don't get me wrong, but the flexibility that a procedural material gives you, just at the moment at least, cannot be beat with AI, at least in my opinion. So do go down below to the description where you can find both the add-on with install instructions, it's relatively easy to install, and the Materialize software, which helps you take that image and then make a full-fledged material out of it.